What's up, Earthlings? My name is Alex and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna dive into one of the biggest and most notorious music subcultures, the grunge subculture. So before we start, I have to say that in my opinion the word grunge has been used to describe anything alternative. A grunge person nowadays is just a person that dresses alt, but that doesn't have a particular connotation towards emo or scene or punk, rock, metal, whatever. So, in my opinion, especially with TikTok, this world has lost its value. But today, I'm here to talk about a little bit of how the real grunge movement started and evolved. So, the grunge movement started in Seattle, and it was about rawness, right? So, the sounds, the music, the guitars, the drums were all not polished. The texts, the lyrics were almost always sad and talking about actual things. One thing to know about Seattle in that period is that it definitely felt isolated and alone. So, at first, these bands were a little bit outcasted. A particular record, I think it's called Pop Records, that encouraged this kind of music. And so we can talk about a start in the grunge scene. So, what is grunge? Grunge, as I said, is alternative rock based music, but it started in my microphone and it started in the mid 80s in Seattle, as I said, and the music was about apathy, alienation, and addiction. The pioneers in this genre were absolutely bands like the Melvins, Green River, and Soundgarden. But the most notorious band in this period was Nirvana. And in particular, their song Smells Like Teen Spirit was like an anthem for all that generation. Kurt Cobain was, of course, the lead singer, and his lyrics were about struggling and addiction. So when he actually committed suicide, the world was deeply moved by this. Even people that weren't particular into the grunge scene. Another very famous band is Alice in Chains. This band is a little bit more metal. It incorporates metal riffs and metal sounds like style. Their most famous songs were Man in the Box, Rooster, and Down in the Hole. Many said, and I quote, Nirvana was the face of the grunge movement and Alice in Chains was the soul. The mainstream era, though, started for everyone almost in the grunge scene in 1991. In this year, Nirvana released Nevermind, Pearl Jam dropped 10, and Alice in Chains dropped Facelift. All these albums together created a legacy. Let's now talk about grunge fashion, because as I said before, nowadays everyone that has a style that is not like neat, clean, whatever, is calling themselves grunge. And honestly, I don't see anything bad about it, because the grunge fashion is about not giving a damn. Like, grunge fashion is composed mostly of flannels, combat boots, ripped jeans, thrifted jackets, so all elements that weren't exactly worn for a fashion purpose, but because they were comfortable and, useful and whatever. So when people when people say about themselves that they're grunge, they probably just mean that they are not like try harder, because at the end the grunge fashion philosophy is about not trying hard to impress others. It just, dress for yourself, dress however you want. When Sub Pop, that was the record that was following all these different grunge bands, became very, very popular, and it kind of encountered the mainstream, but in a way that was like completely detached. People that weren't in this type of subculture had a completely wrong and different image about grunge. The secretary of Sub Pop, Megan Jasper, had an interview with the media, and she started saying a list of fake slangs just to prove that media was actually very, very detached from what the grunge world was, and it was not willing to get to know them for how this subculture really was. As I said before, many lyrics were about struggle, but the singers or the bands in particular, they were struggling too. When Kurt Cobain died, the whole world was in shambles. Soon after, all the grunge bands began to disassemble, to fade into darkness, or to just suddenly change genre. But grunge culture never really died, because there were always some bands, or maybe just fans, that kept listening and supporting this subculture. So, that's it, guys. I think I've covered all the main points about grunge. As always in this series, I'm learning with you guys. So if you know something that maybe I missed out or I said wrong, please tell me in the comments. So guys, if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on what you wanna see next. Bye!